So, so in the beginning, I would like to request all the participants, especially students, just to, do you have a piece of paper with you? Unmute your mic and inform me that you are having a piece of paper with you and pen.
Sir, we already informed all
Yeah,
the
yeah, you are
students
having.
to
Okay, I'll ask them
yeah,
to make a square. You know a
yeah.
square. You draw a square on that sheet. Just be quick on that. So all of you draw a square on that piece of paper. Have you drawn it? I guess you have drawn it. You divide it 4 parts. It doesn't require much time. It has to be done very quick. We have divided it in 4 parts. So now some of you unmute your mic and inform me that how many of you have divided it in 4 equal parts. Just show me video and then raise your hand that you have done in 4 equal parts. Hello, Superior, you are visible. Have you done divided in 4 parts?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So all of you have divided in 4 equal parts?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Did I ask you to divide in 4 equal parts? Did I ask you to divide in 4 equal parts? I simply said to you, divide in 4 parts, not in equal part. Still, all of you have at least, I guess that more than 98% of you have divided in 4 equal parts. 2 participants are raising their hands. So are you different? Is there anybody who has not divided in 4 equal parts? Yes, be communicative, now be interactive. You talk. If anybody there who hasn't distributed that square in 4 equal parts, differently he has done. Should I believe that all of you have divided in 4 equal parts? No one is talking. At least unmute and talk. Is there anybody? Is there anybody who has been different and has not divided in 4 equal parts? He has divided it in differently.
No, sir.
So all of you have divided in 4 equal parts, is it?
Yes.
Yes, sir. So what does it mean? This is called a conditioned response. You are routine kind of people. So don't worry that in almost everywhere, wherever I asked this to do, mostly people do like that only. So it means that a child, if you ask a child, he doesn't know that equal distribution or something like that. He will apply his mind, he will be think creatively. So it means that most of us are by nature we have grown up from the child and we are losing our creativity. We are not thinking creatively. We are just a routine. In the morning, we take breakfast, then lunch, then dinner, then we sleep, we get up, and the same routine is followed. We are not making some efforts to be different in our approach, isn't? So now I ask you another thing to us. If you are given, are you able to see this picture?
Sir, your screen is not visible. Please share your PPT once again, sir.
Actually, I am sharing. It might be it is not seeing this one titles.
No, sir.
Oh, how it is happening? You say your screen sharing is paused. I don't know how it says new share.
You go down. There is a share screen.
Yeah. This I did. Again, I'll see this one. Share.
Yes. Now
it is
okay,
yes.
Okay.
It's okay.
Please slideshow, sir.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is fine, sir.
You are able to see this picture?
Yes, sir.
Yes. So I ask you that if you are given this particular exercise to drop a coin into this box 3 times. So some of you should tell me that how you will do it 3 times. If you are asked what you will do with this. At least one student, one PG student maybe. So somebody should talk. What you will do? Some student come forward. No, just take it a challenge. What you will do with this? If I ask you to drop this coin into three times, what you will do?
Hello, sir. Hello.
Yes, please.
Participants are putting their response in chat box, sir.
Okay, they are okay. Chat box is not. So. Something has gone wrong with this.
Your chat box, then it is ready.
Yes, it is now. How to make this full screen? Chat box. They are answering into chat box, huh? Participants, stop video, mute, news, resume. No.
In bottom, there is chat symbol, sir.
Yeah, that is there.
You simply click and.
I'm not able to make it full screen. No. Video. Let me read it. Content mute. Cannot unmute. Okay, it is. Okay.
Okay, sir.
So this is an exercise on achievement motivation. Suppose if you are target-oriented person, sometimes you will have a small target. You will try to drop from a very close distance, and if you are successful, you will go back. And even from this distance, you are successful. Even then, you will go back. What happens in most of the situation? People try to be very safe. Even if I ask them to drop it 10 times, they will keep on dropping it from this distance only, so that they're safest, no risk at all. Some people, they will drop from a long distance. They will have initially a very big target, and if they are not successful, they will come closer and they will narrow down their target. And then this is what is called strategic thinking. Many a time, many students, when we talk of opportunity, they are not strategic. They are simply plain. If they have done +2, they will apply for some graduation, then they are masters, then they are doing PhD, not thinking strategically. They don't have no target, no goal, nothing. Simply they are moving just like a straight line. So this is a very good exercise on achievement motivation, how when people are target oriented, how people can be target. This simply I wanted just to make a beginning. I am now coming to the content. So now you know, all of you, now I am audible enough for you?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. So India, we call it, for instance, along we know we are agricultural economy. But still, if you see that lot many people are hungry and malnourished population in this country, even if they are eating, it is not nutritive food. What does it mean that if there is underproduction and nutritive food is not there, it means that there is opportunity just to make it up. So challenge is that how to overcome hunger and malnutrition in this country. If you look at more than 20% of Indian children who are less than 5 years of age have lower weight in relation to their height, and they are too short in relation to their age. Also, over 50% Indian women suffer from anemia for the want of good nutrition. Despite India being the world's second largest food producer, it has second highest undernourished population in the world. And that this requires sustained effort to feed the huge population of country that is poised to surpass the population of China by 2027 to attain the status of the most populous nation on the planet. You see, in 2019 on Global Hunger Index, India ranked 102 out of 119 countries with a global hunger index score of 30.3, placing the country in the serious category. You see, this much hunger exists in this country. What does it mean? There is a challenge, and for good quality agriculture, human resources needed to overcome this challenge. Indians consume only 4 kg of meat per person per year against the required about 11 kg. Consume only 79 eggs against the requirement of 180 eggs. There are huge regional variations in milk consumptions too. If you look at egg consumption in UP, for example, 13 eggs per person per year, whereas in Andhra Pradesh it is 346 eggs. Huge regional variations are there. Also in Punjab, milk consumption is almost 1100 gram, 1100 to 1200 gram. But in some northeastern states, it is another 10, 15 gram, 20 grams like that. So it means that opportunity is there. So productivity of major crops and livestock species is less than the world averages in many cases. So these are some of the challenges in the Indian agriculture sector. Stagnating, declining productivity and profitability. Agriculture is, people often complain that it is not profitable. So that is a problem. Depleting quality of natural resources, biotic and abiotic stresses, weather-related temperature, rainfall, or microorganisms, bacteria, and inefficient use of agro inputs, farm machinery, and farm equipment. If you see that, if you look at countrywide, in some parts of India, still people are using broadcast method for seeding. You know, this is highly unscientific way of raising crops. By broadcast method, they are applying fertilizer, they are using seeds where seed drills are there. So mechanization is so poor, farm equipments are not available, farm machinery is not available, agro inputs are not properly used. All these people need training and manufacture of equipments. So this means that there is a opportunity for agriculture graduates into all these areas. Unsafe livelihood for millions of small and marginal farmers. How to make it safe agriculture production. Regional imbalances in agriculture productivity. Huge productivity gaps are there. A general lack of qualified manpower in the frontier areas to deliver at grassroots level. So qualified manpower is lacking. Rising input costs. How to minimize the cost of inputs. Changing food habits and quality concerns. Now people are talking of organic farming. A lot of scope in making good quality food production. Fragmented processing industry, high post-harvest losses. Huge fruit and vegetables are going waste. Can't we make feed, animal feed from the wasted fruit and vegetables? Our processing industry needs people qualified so that primary produce can be processed into products and value added. Lack of value addition and processing, fossil fuel crisis and growing emphasis on biofuels, emerging climate change. Now increasingly people are talking about biofuels and climate change issues and all. So these challenges need to be met. How it will happen? So when we are talking of meeting these challenges, it means that it speaks about the opportunities. How? So extraordinary efforts are required to be made, especially for development of quality human resource, which is critical for sustaining, diversifying, and realizing the potential of agriculture. High-tech agriculture, we are talking about precision agriculture. Hydroponics, people are talking. Aquaponics. And that high-end research is needed, and to achieve this high quality, highly motivated world-class human resource and facilities are required that can flow from world-class agriculture institutions and agriculture universities. We need just to modernize agriculture, to make it high-tech. So we need human resource and equipment, and all that industry will absorb agriculture graduates in a big way. Government of India has decided to recast the country as knowledge economy. So far it was way of life, but we want to make it knowledge economy as elsewhere in the world in developed countries by making higher education a top national agenda. Agriculture education has to evolve in line with the fast changing national and international scenario and facilitate human capacity for developing self-motivated professionals and entrepreneurs. Increasingly, everybody is nowadays talking about entrepreneurs, those who are not necessarily looking for their agriculture jobs, white collar jobs, but they are themselves job creators. They are setting up ventures, enterprises. Also, Dalwai Committee report, which talked about, discussed about doubling the farmers' income. They talked about that agriculture be seen as enterprise. ICR, with the assistance of World Bank and Government of India, on 50-50 cost sharing basis, has launched National Agriculture Higher Education Project (NAHAP), under which this particular talk has been organized by investing on infrastructure, competency, and commitment of faculty and attracting talented students to agriculture with a total cost of $165 million. That is roughly 1,100 crores of rupees. The Student Ready program was launched by Honorable Prime Minister of India on 25th July 15, consisting of 5 components: experiential learning, rural agriculture work experience, in-plant training, industrial attachment, hands-on training, skill development training, and student projects. So many things are happening just to modernize or make agriculture knowledge economy. So now coming to agriculture education infrastructure in this country, largest national network of agriculture education system in the world. We have this largest, comprising 63 state agriculture universities. Out of this, one is your MPKV. 4 deemed PB universities, like the one I am working for, ICR, Indian Veterinary Research Institute, and 3 central agricultural universities, CAU in Imphal, that is in Northeast Manipur, and then Rani Lakshmibai Central Agriculture University in Jhansi, then Rajendra Prasad Agriculture University in Samastipur. And then there are 474 agriculture universities under National Agriculture Research Education and Extension System. We call it NARE, NAREE. The intake capacity of students in these institutions used to be less than 5,000 in 1960. Now it has gone up to up to 45,000 students per year. You can see how many is almost 9 times increase in intake. With about 410 constituent colleges, these agriculture universities enroll on annual basis about 28,000 students at UG level and over 17,500 students at master's and PhD level. There are over 400 private affiliated colleges also enrolling the students for higher agriculture education. Not only government agriculture universities, state agriculture universities, but many private agriculture colleges have come up in recent times, and they are increasing in number. It means what? More agriculture, more opportunity for taking admission in agriculture streams. Degree courses at undergraduate level are offered in 11 subjects and at postgraduate level in 95 subjects. And these subjects are also further increasing as specialization is growing. So now there are new targets, new challenges, and new opportunities. The Honorable Prime Minister has given slogan of per drop, more crop. You know, this is a very small sentence, or even the wording per drop, more crop. It speaks a lot about how to save water, because water is a precious resource. We need to save this resource from going waste. Earlier, you might have seen farmers used to irrigate their farms using flooding method. Still, in many parts of India, flooding is used for irrigating crop. It makes waste of water because unnecessarily water is passing through some land which is not being growing crop where we are now growing, but just after flooding, plot after plot we are using. But now we are talking of precision irrigation. You might have seen sprinklers, drip irrigation. Now this kind of thing. This is Riley system of irrigation is becoming popular in many orchards and many parts of country. And in future, it is going to become more prominent. What does it mean? That lot more jobs into this one. How to make how to improve water efficiency in the country. Just that will absorb much of manpower also. Making different system design, how to save water, water saving technologies, how to develop varieties which consume less water, how to grow crops which doesn't use much of water. So making agriculture water efficient is a challenge. That means that more people need to work on this area so that we can make our crops water efficient. Water conserving technologies need to be used. The government of India has also set up an ambitious target to double the income of farmers by 2023. It means what? Targeted agriculture growth of more than 114%. It's a huge challenge. So doubling the farmer's income in 5 to 6 years. So it means what? We have to work into that area. How to reduce cost of production. That is very important aspect, reducing cost of production. How to make input efficient agriculture. So by applying less of inputs and getting more output. So that itself indicate so opportunities available. So all that manpower, qualified manpower, trained manpower, skilled manpower will be deployed to double the farmer's income. That's it. These goals call for quality manpower and policy actions along with scientific intervention in Indian agriculture. So scientific is still lot many farmers are not in their approach scientific. They are not using science in cultivating food crops or raising animals. Efforts are being made for development of quality human resource that is critical for sustaining, diversifying, realizing the potential of agriculture. Quality human resource. So human resource development is very important aspect. So if you are taking agriculture, so that is also human resource, but a qualified, skilled one need extra effort. High-tech agriculture being seen as one of the options for that high-end research is needed. And to achieve this, highly motivated world-class human resource and facilities are required that can flow from world-class agriculture institutions and agricultural universities. Under NHAP, under this National Higher Education Project funded by World Bank, effort is being made how to make it world-class agriculture, our agriculture competing with the global standards. To reduce the academic inbreeding in agriculture education, students are being encouraged to go to other states for pursuing higher studies by facilitating with grant of National Talent Scholarship, ICR PG Scholarship, and ICR GRF, SRF for PGS, which are revised from time to time. You see, there used to be tendency to stick to our own state, to our own districts. People hesitate going outside to other states. That is also a part of human resource development. If you are going away from your own states, say for example, if you are from Maharashtra, knowing Maharashtra only, Maharashtrian language only, and Marathi language only, and then eating Marathi food only. Why don't you think of going out, mixing with others to Bengal, to Northeast, to North India, to South India, to learn many other languages, to interact with different kind of audiences, different kind of cultures, to diversifying our mental faculties, to broad base our mental faculties. Why to restrict at one place, just like frog in the well? You know, frog in the well, he doesn't have any opportunity to go here and there and see the world. Just he is born into a well and he grows up and he end up his life in that well itself. It means he's not couldn't get the opportunity, but the ICR is providing that opportunity. Government of India is thinking just people should have opportunity to go to other states, to to learn about other cultures. Even now, if one step new education policy says about Meru, so within the same college there will be art faculty, music, politics, multi-educational opportunities within the same campus, so that people broad base themselves, not sticking to kind of if I am from agriculture, I will learn only this. I need to learn many other associated things just to cultivate my mind, so just to make my mind fertile, which gives many ideas for development. For that, so new education policy is emphasizing on that diversification, mental faculty, broad basing mental faculty and cultural development of human mind, so that we can think more creatively and think about more developmental opportunities. So ICR efforts for improving quality of agricultural education. I will talk about what this ICR is doing. Agriculture Education Division of Indian Council of Agriculture Research annually conducts all India entrance examination for admission to undergraduate and postgraduate programs with the All India competitive examination for admission. Earlier, it used to be states used to conduct their own exams, but the ICR want ultimately to have one exam for all over India. Currently, the 25% seats are being filled up, but gradually they want to switch over, and they want to have exchange and segregation of the student to different states across the states, not restricting to a single state. That is very important. One should be ready for that. You prepare yourself for this kind of situation coming up. ICR has declared UG degrees in agriculture and allied subjects as professional degree courses, which has encouraged the pursuit of learning in agriculture and allied subjects for the purpose of scholarship abroad, prizes, medals, certificates, and other academic titles. The centralized admission to 25% seats of doctoral degree programs of these universities through All India competitive examination for the award of junior and senior research fellowships, AIC, JRF, SRF, was also introduced by the Council from the academic session 2015 and 16. The online counseling for admission to different disciplines of agriculture and allied science in UG, PG, and PhD degree program were introduced by the Council from the academic section 2017 and 18. In comparison to 2014, the number of female applicants during 2019 and 20 increased to 7% each in UG and PG and 11% in PhD. This is significant development. In our times, in our class, there used to be only one or two, three girls. Now, almost in veterinary colleges, I have seen this has reached to over 50% girls are there. So, and then in agriculture colleges also, many girls are not coming. That is also a very significant development, and that will contribute because women in agriculture is a very important issue, and number of qualified manpower is also going up. That will help doubling the farmers' income. It will improve the agriculture productivity in this country because roughly 50% of the population is women, and then why they should be lagging in agricultural education. Now they are coming forward to have agriculture education to get themselves educated into. Now, there are several schemes for students. These are to attract students to higher agriculture education and to achieve educational excellence in teaching, research, and capacity building of faculty in the cutting-edge areas of agriculture and allied science subjects. Education Division operates a number of schemes. Number one is National Talent Scholarship. NTS is awarded at the rate of 3,000 per month for pursuing undergraduate studies to all those students who take admission outside their state of domicile and maintain prescribed standards. You see what is the importance of going out of your state to other states. So always be ready for this kind of challenges in your life, and just don't hesitate going out for that. For that, there is opportunity also 3,000 rupees per month. It's no less amount at undergraduate level. Post-matric scholarship for scheduled caste and scheduled tribe candidates. This is provided to scheduled caste and scheduled tribe students for pursuing bachelor's degree program in agriculture and allied sciences, with the basic objective to support the students from the weaker sections. Mainly agriculture universities students used to come mostly from the rural background and coming from the poor economic conditions. So these are some of the opportunities which can be availed. Merit cum means scholarship for undergraduate studies. This scholarship aims to attract meritorious undergraduate students belonging to below poverty line families with an annual income below 1 lakh to pursue higher studies in agriculture and allied sciences. The scholarship is provided 1,000 per month per student. In our times, this fellowship used to be just 100 rupees, and I had availed this one at that time because I come from a village, rural background, and from a small farmer's family. So I could avail this fellowship during my UG. Junior Research Fellowship, Senior Research Fellowship for PhD program. This is about 31,000 rupees per month if you are able to secure this. And in the third year, it becomes 35,000 rupees. Many of our students in my department, my division, they are getting this fellowship SRF. And then besides this, other than ICR, UGC also, they get extension students are. Even ICMR is giving. Many extension students doesn't know how ICMR fellowship is awarded to extension students. In our department, there are several students that have availed it. Then there used to be a Rajiv Gandhi fellowship for pursuing. That is up to 5 years. that is for the SC students, and then Inspire Fellowship. Then many other departments are giving so many fellowships, but one has to be very strategic about how to find about information about all these fellowship and how to avail these fellowship to reduce the burden on your parents. I will tell my own story, when I was doing, after completing my BSc Agriculture from Panagar University, when I tried for masters, and also UG, I got admission through competition. In our time, in 1981 batch for the Panagar University, that was the first time competitive exam was conducted. Otherwise, earlier student used to come based on their 12th marks obtained in +2. But ours was the first batch in 1981 at Panagar, where we got admission through competitive examination. And also for masters, I appeared in. I could have taken admission in any other branch of agriculture, maybe plant breeding, soil science, economics. But in extension education at that time, there was a fellowship, UNDP fellowship, 400 rupees per month. Later on, it was upgraded to 800 rupees. That I'm talking of 1984, 85. So almost now 36 years back, I'm talking 800 rupees fellowship was there in extension subject. I was not willing to be a burden on my parents for paying my fee and making my expenditure on and being burden on my parents. So I opted for extension subject. And so that I did masters in extension education, availing UNDP ICR fellowship during 1984 to 86. So then the PhD, I got admission and PhD in IVRI again through competitive examination. So at that time when we got admission, we were getting fellowship, IVRI fellowship. And those all who are getting admission in IVRI, they were getting fellowship. ICR deemed universities used to give fellowship at that time. So that all through my education, most of the time I have availed fellowships. So now this is some glimpse of G.V. Pant University of Agriculture and Technology, Panagar. I studied here from 1981 to 87. And then this is the first agriculture university established in India in 1960. Now we are having 63 agricultural universities, state agriculture universities. Almost every state is having one agriculture university. But in 1960, there was only one agriculture university. It was followed up by this Haryana, this PAU, Odisha Agriculture University, and so. Later Maharashtra Agriculture University and all these things. On the land grant pattern of the US, this university established. This is our college, Agriculture University, Krishi Mahavidyalaya. You are also a student of some Krishi Mahavidyalaya. So I have been also from this university. This is the glimpse of my university. This is our library. Then later on, I joined ICR, Indian Veterinary Research Institute, deemed university. I studied here from 87 to 91 for my PhD degree. You can have a glimpse of aerial photograph of my beautiful campus of our research institute. This is a very big building. Most of the departments are. This looks like Y-shaped. If you look at aerial view, it is looking like a Y. We call it Y-shaped. So this, you can see this building is here. Most of our departments are located here. We are having many campuses, our university, this deemed university, not this research institute is 131 year old. It was established in 1893. First where British people were, they established it. They established in Pune in Maharashtra in 1893 in Pune. So now we are having a center in Pune, but the British people at the same year in 1893, they shifted to Uttarakhand. Now earlier it was in UP, that is in Nainital district. So that campus is 14 square kilometer, beautiful campus in Nainital district of Uttarakhand. Now this is our headquarter. We are having almost 1,000 acres of land here. This is our use. This campus, you can see, it's a beautiful layout. You can have a view of this one. So I have experience of State Agriculture University and also of deemed university, where after in 1991, I completed my PhD, and the same year I was selected in Agriculture Research Service of ICAR and joined ICAR Research Service. For initially 1 year, I was at Central Soil and Crop Water Conservation Research Institute in Dehradun, and later on, I shifted to Muktasar campus of IVRI, where I worked for 6.5 years, and then moved into the main campus, Sijatnagar, where I am having responsibility for teaching and research and field extension activities. These are some of our classrooms. I teach entrepreneurship development course. Almost 150 to 170 students register for this course. So we use in a big classroom. Right now we are doing it this online. Otherwise we used to take classes like that. This is same classes. I love teaching. So you see, effective teaching is very important aspect just to develop the qualified human resource. If you want to develop, we need to make our teaching. So some years back, some maybe 4 or 5 years back, I was invited at Tamil Nadu Veterinary University and Veterinary Animal Sciences University to deliver a talk on teaching. So this is a picture taken from there. So likewise, because I got ICR Best Teacher Award in 2010. Under this award, there was a provision of 1 lakh rupees travel grant to go around different universities and deliver. I also delivered a lecture at Nagpur Veterinary College under this scheme, and in several other colleges delivered how to how to teach. So that was for faculty.
Maheshji, you are not audible.
Okay. Since long I am not audible, or just now I am not audible. I am not audible since
You are
long.
not audible.
Since when I am not audible? From long or just now?
Please, you increase your volume, sir.
Okay. वॉल्यूम से प्रेजेंटेशन मोड म्यूट हो गया क्या है? ये क्यों नहीं हो रहा? म्यूट तो नहीं, म्यूट है, म्यूट अनम्यूट है वो तो। हाँ, आवाज नहीं जा रही है।
अभी आ रही सर?
आ रही है?
हाँ, यस सर, कंटिन्यू सर।
Okay. So now coming to this how agriculture education gives you opportunity. Sometimes people think only in terms of medical colleges. So you are able to hear now?
Yes sir.
Okay. So people think of engineering colleges, and medical colleges and all that kind of some kind of deficiency all the time. Many students often feel. I never feel this. I don't have that kind of feeling since long. I feel myself, I keep myself in high esteem that I have enjoyed being in agriculture. I am from a farm. So I am from a farmer family. I am educated in agriculture. I held my profession in high esteem. And this has given me a huge opportunity to go around the world. You see, this is a picture taken on the extreme left at FAO headquarters in Rome. I visited some 2-3 years back. Again, this picture is from Bhutan, and this is from China. This is from Korea. This is again FAO headquarters at the top in the top roof, from the roof of the FAO headquarters in Rome. This you can very well understand. This is from USA, and many times I've been to US. This is London. So you see this international conference I attended in China along with my student. This is Ravi Kumar, my PhD student. He visited our head of department at that time. So again, this is in Australia. Some of Dr. Milind might be knowing this Sarvanan Raj here. This is in Jamaica, beautiful country where many Indians live. This is again Nepal. This is USAID program. And then this is Venice. Everybody will have dream to go to Venice. So I have been Venice 3 times. So it is for the conference purpose. I have been for academic purpose. So likewise, all different Korea and these countries. So this is Italy, University of Padova in Italy. Then I delivered a lecture there, invited to deliver. It is inside of a headquarters, this picture. This is again in Korea. This is in Turkey, Istanbul Congress we attended. So I mean to say that never feel low about that. I am doing agriculture. Sometimes people have feeling that there is not much scope in agriculture. What you call of exposure that I told you, strategically. You have to be strategic. You have to have achievement motivation. Just don't feel low about. Just don't be feeling very lowly and don't keep your esteem very low. Always keep high and work hard for that. It won't come so easily. All those who are going abroad, it's not necessarily they're very intelligent. I am telling you again, if you see the statistics, you will find that those who have gone to US or any other developed country and those who are getting admissions there, not necessarily they are very intelligent. But one thing you can understand about them, they are very strategic. They adopt a strategy. US is, for example, US is land of opportunity. If you have done, many people, those who are known to me, sometimes they did masters in home science and they have done MS in computer science, computer ability. They are doing very well in computer science there. So if you are able to meet their standards, if you are able to satisfy their standards and requirements, you can do very well there. So some people are very strategic after doing graduations and they are working hard for TOEFL and GRE, and then they are achieving high score. They are landing up there. So they are doing something good for themselves. So always I will appeal to you also that just to be strategic, be hardworking, nothing, just be very open enough and keep your eyes and ears open for the opportunities. Wherever you get it, just you try to grab the opportunities. If you are not doing it, now we are living in a very competitive world. Competition is huge, this world. So then how to that survive, or only fittest will survive. You have to be fit mentally, physically, and resourceful. You have to be resourceful. Many students now, after doing masters, they are doing MS there and paying huge fee, taking bank loan and doing master MS there, and then that makes them eligible for jobs in US, for example. Because if you are MS from US, you are eligible for working there for 3 years. That already you might have been told in other lecture there was opportunities abroad. So I'm not going much into details of that. So, but you can find your way into landing up in the Western universities, and their comparison, if you look at initial investment, will pay off in the terms of your salaries getting in euro, dollars, and pounds. So that will make a huge difference. And later on, people are immigrating also. Many students are immigrating, those from some of the colleges. So they are known for migrating to US for doing PhD. So you also think along those lines. So you will find that this agriculture field is also very lot more glamorous. It is a glamour is there, a lot of attraction is there, a lot of money is also there. So just in a lighter way, I am saying, if I am delivering this lecture today, I'm going to get some money out of it. Is it not a great thing? Likewise, I have given several lectures this year during pandemic because movement is restricted. From some agriculture universities, I have given lectures for Central Agriculture University, Imphal, and other universities in Gujarat Agriculture University. Many other universities I have delivered lectures on payment. Extension Education Institute, Hyderabad, and many other institutes they invite calling and they pay for that one. So and even if you are writing some books, some articles for journals, sometimes they are paying some books if you are writing. So it takes away a lot of work, and if you are working hard, you are eligible to earn also, because there is no harm in doing. And I also do consultancies that is being paid consultancy, right now for inspiring you only. I am telling you, I am right now doing consultancy for which I am being paid 16,000 rupees per day for 30 days in a year. So just I am sharing this information for your sake. Sometimes people may not share this kind of information openly. Since I got permission for the price, and I have again applied for this kind of a consultancy assignments. So you see, there are tremendous opportunities, and government is encouraging to people to go for consultancy for certain, Indian Institute of Management, their agriculture faculties, they go on consultancies. IITs, they do huge number of consultancies. They earn a lot of money for the institutions, because in consultancy, there is arrangement that 30% or 50% of the share goes to the institutions. 2 years back, I went to Kathmandu for delivering a lecture. I was paid $500 for by USAID. $500 means 37,000 rupees for 45-minute lectures. Can you imagine? Will you believe it? For a 45-minute lecture, I was paid 37,000 rupees, and ICR told my organization, told you share 30% of it to the institute. I paid 12,000 rupees to my institute because I had gone with due permission to there, and then by airfare paid, and I was taken to some wildlife sanctuary also, putting up in a 5-star hotel, giving lectures there. You see, and to be able to deliver that kind of a lecture, you will have to work hard. It's not that somebody will be simply invited for nothing. It has to be quality stuff. It should look unique, and you have to promote yourself as a brand. You have to promote your institution as a brand. Yourself, your institute, your organization should be known globally as a brand. And each one of us is a brand ambassador to our institution we are working. For example, if you are a student of University MPKB, so you are a brand ambassador for your university. People should know MPKB as a great institution. People should know that you are a student or a faculty of that particular university. And then you will get invite from worldwide. You will get invitations. You will paid for. So that this is how you can do something good for yourself. You think I see sometimes student looking very lazy type, not studying, simply not caring to take baths, or not looking smart, not looking, trying to dress well and something, not study, not going to library, not reading newspapers, not reading magazines, not upgrading their mental makeup, not skilling themselves in some area, then who will bother? You have to have something in you that you will be looked by the people. People should look towards you for something you are having. If you are not having that thing, so nobody will bother for you. So are you getting my point? Hope I am able to make my point to you.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So of course now if the videos are not there on, some people keep on doing something else rather than listening the lecture. So on my left, are you able to see this picture? Can you imagine what is this? Some students should tell what is this. There is no sound coming. I'm wondering, okay, it is muted. I heard that it is centrally muted, but now at least I have completed almost. So can anybody unmute them so that they can speak? Am I audible?
Yes, sir. Participants are requested to ask questions through chat box.
No, this I'm asking what is this picture? Are you able to see this picture?
Yes, sir.
So tell me, sir, some student, UG student should tell what is this. No UG student is able to tell what is this.
Some participants respond Eiffel Tower, sir.
Eiffel, right? Yeah, it is Eiffel Tower. It is in Paris. So I mean to say that again, extending this one, the opportunities that going around because of agriculture qualification. Many of you might be from rural background like me. All of you are doing the same degree agriculture which I have done, and many of you may be aspiring jobs as a scientist, as a faculty, something related to agriculture you wish to do. So I wish to share with you what I could do. You can also do even better than me. Better than me. Just have courage, think positive, think that you can do it. So if I could do it, and many of you might be from better background than me. I am from a very, very small and marginal farmers family, but many of you might be from better background than me. So you are might be having better opportunities what I had. But all through, I obtained fellowships or scholarships. And then you know that merit come means sometimes this scheme. Earlier there was a system that if you are taken that, avail that one, you have to repay if you are not in academics or teaching. So for me, it was waived. So I'm saying this, that fellowships and all these things, so that you are not burdening your parents and enjoying your life, enjoying your career. So just think about all these things. If you have got any questions, which I can respond to. Otherwise, online we should not stay much for longer time. So if you have any questions, please unmute yourself. Review if you can see. Are these photo looking good to you? Are clearly visible?
Yes, sir.
You see here it is. I can just for the time being. So this is my wife. She is scientist also from veterinary medicine. This was director NRC meet Dr. Kondaya. He was a student, and his wife is assistant professor in Bangalore Veterinary College. So this is this. So now if there is no question, if there is no question.
There is one question from Arpijita. She is asking, I am a BSc Agriculture graduate as well, and I look forward to become an agriculture consultant.
Yeah.
Can you provide me some guidance?
Yeah, just agriculture. If you are just agriculture graduate, you will have little opportunity. So you upgrade, you have try to have some diploma or some other additional qualification. So that why don't you go for MBA or something like that? So you develop some expertise in consultancy, because at the graduate level you will have to work with some consultancy firm first, and then you can develop yourself. Otherwise, your scope will, because consultancy is also a highly competitive thing.
There is another one question, sir. Sir, can you take admission abroad for MSc Agriculture like in Washington State University?
You are too specific. What is so special about Washington State University? All state universities are similar. So do you have any specific interest into that university? So actually at the undergraduate level, at the master's level, opportunities are less. If you are master's, and then you will have to, scholarship opportunities are very limited at that level, especially in agriculture. You will have to score very high in TOEFL and GRE scores, and then you will have to meet your own expenses, at least in the initial years. So later on you can work up on something, but it is again very highly, for PhD, of course, after doing MS, you can go for PhD.
There is another one question from Atharva Gokhale. What is the exposure of MSc Horticulture?
You know, in the doubling the farmers' income, livestock and horticulture have been considered as highly promising area, and a lot of food production things are coming, and high-tech horticulture is also coming up. So in that area, if you work with some firms initially, those who are already working in, you know, their orchards and all the horticulture ventures are being established by many industrialists. Also, you can work with some firm initially, and then later on you can have your own consultancy firm in that area, or you can work in some private company.
Shubham is asking, sir, it is necessary to give GRE or TOEFL for studying abroad?
It is must for US at least. For Australia, there is English language test. For Australia and Canada. For US, there is no escape from GRE and TOEFL. For European countries, you can take, but you keep on looking for the advertisement. They advertise these positions in many different, because especially there are now groups, and then some kind of websites which cater to, and you will keep on getting emails from them on regular interval, and for scholarship opportunities. I can pass on this information that that mail I receive. For me, it is no worth. They give lot of scholarship opportunity. I will share that link with you, email, so that you can also register with them. So you will automatically get information about all scholarship in different countries, European countries. They don't have this GRE and TOEFL requirement. Some of them they have, but many of them they waive off. But they do conduct English language test. Also, additionally, in these countries, you will have to undergo a language course in that country, initially for 6 months, 3-4 months.
There is one question from Rahul Chahande. He is asking why there is a less consumption of milk and eggs in India, though we have a larger livestock in world.
Yeah, that's production is not there. It is not being produced. Huge population is there. Matching production is not there. So say, for example, Andhra Pradesh, 346 eggs are being produced per capita. Huge poultry industry is there. It is not there in UP. Now it is coming up. We are consuming only 13 eggs in UP. And Sikkim, it is only 11 eggs. So production is not there. Just like In case of meat, it is of course that 50% almost population is, we can consume that vegetarian. But if you look at, I am having a very wonderful map of their population is non-vegetarian. They want to consume, but they can't afford also, being poor. And production is also less. So this is where lie a challenge. Lot many poultry farms need to be established in this country so that we can meet the requirement of the poultry meat and poultry eggs, on other meat, goat and sheep also need production. So people have to set up a goat farm. This is where lies the opportunity also in the livestock farm, dairy farm, livestock farms, poultry farms. They need to be established. Once it is established, eggs are being transported altogether to the northeast by air to UP from Andhra Pradesh and Tamil Nadu. So if we are having our own production, it means that there is an opportunity to have our entrepreneurship development models in piggery or poultry and all these enterprises, so that we don't have to transport by air eggs to remote area in northeast, so that they can have their own production facility. Once production is there, availability will be there, then it will be consumed by the people. Any other questions? Actually, I'm not able to see here this chat box. I could have read myself these questions. Okay,
Which
anybody?
livestock business? Hello.
Yes, please ask.
Which livestock business has highest scopes?
Piggery. If you pig and goat farming has the highest scope. And this is a pig is a very good converter of feed, and a lot of otherwise waste material it can consume, and it turns over into fat, good return into feed conservation ratio is very good into this one.
So good afternoon, sir. Sir, this is a Prajta here from the side. Sir, I want to ask: is there anything we need to go for being an agriculture consultant, or so? Any course or degree or any diploma thing?
No, as I told first that if you are able to do some kind of a diploma or MBA or something like that, NIAM and Manage, NAM and all, they are having business degrees. Or you work, as a good strategy would be there to working with some consultancy firm initially, just to learn the tidbits about the consultancy, how, people, what they are doing, they are joining consultancy firm after learning some kind of a tidbits from them, and they are leaving and they are setting up their own firm. This is what happens in private industry most of the time. So now after you have to learn something, tips from them. So there is no other way, there is no shortcut for this. But definitely if you are having a business management degree, it helps being a consultant, because it is associated, the speaking skills, soft skills and kind of a management experience that helps in consultancy development. Many are doing a consultancy business. They are leaving very, very good jobs, high paying jobs, and setting up their own consultancy firm. They are doing in consultancy. Even for project development, somebody has to develop a poultry farm, sometimes set up a poultry farm. He need a project to be developed and for the bank loaning and all. So you can do it. So that they charge fee for that. Some people have opted that only as a business rather than doing some jobs. They are developing projects, because bank people ask for a project, and that who will develop that project? That consultant is developing that project, so that there is no question from the bank side on this.
Some of the participants wants our mobile numbers. Contact details. Some participants want
Share your mobile number, sir.
Yeah, actually, yes, I want my screen is not favoring me. अरे ब्रह्मा जी जरा देखना इसमें क्या, एक मिनट. I'm just trying to do it with the help of somebody.
Okay, sir.
इसमें जरा chat box खोल दो, फिर टाइप करना नहीं आ रहा. Chat. Okay. I've said, okay, it is privately mentioned. All, everyone. You got my mobile number?
Yes, sir. Okay,
So
fine, sir.
mail address I can give you, sir. Actually, that admission in US and other universities, that other lecture might have, or it is scheduled later on or before, I don't know. There was some, I saw that one lecture is kept about the agriculture opportunities abroad.
Okay, sir.
Okay. Was it good?
Now, yes, sir.
Let me get some feedback that was it good? Is it okay? It was helpful?
Definitely, sir. It is helpful, sir.
Good.
Now I invite Dr. M. Shahire, sir, Associate Dean, Punyaslo Kaila Devi, Holkar College of Agriculture,
Full
for
screen. Verma ji, full screen करना है sir.
her closing remark.
No closing remark. Just Maheshji, you share the experiences
Okay.
that you are
यहाँ कैसे?
visited many countries. So you are having the good international exposure. So if our students want to visit the foreign countries, how they can go for it, for short visit or for training?
Actually, that is a very difficult question. How they will go it? One has to explore how the conferences and all these kind of things. Dr. Milind, you are already, you know a bit about it.
Yeah, definitely.
It is always a challenge. How to get, one has to explore it and how to keep on looking into. You know, if I will give you how it happens, you know, because there you have given me 1.5 hours. It's still time there. It will be beneficial. When I was posted in a remote area, you know, Muktesar campus, where none of our colleagues want to go. That was in 93. So I was looking, and there was no teaching work also, only field. And I was posted in Division of Veterinary Virology.
Yeah.
You know, I am an agriculture person, and I was posted into Division of Veterinary Virology. Can you imagine? But luckily, I got a good support from these faculty, those who are head at that time. Sometimes those who are not related to your subject, they are more helpful than those who are from your own subject. You know, this discipline rivalry is not there at that time. So
Yes.
what happened when I was there, and they used to extend me computer facility and all these kind of thing. And whenever I wanted to go to field, and they would allow me, I would get vehicles. So I got in contact with the NGOs there. In Uttarakhand villages, I used to go interact with them. In collaboration with that, I got allotted 1 hectare land from Director IVRI to go organic vegetables. You know, 1994, and Government of India organic program came in 2001. And whereas I had already grew organic vegetables in 94 to 99, 5 years, in 1 hectare barren land I got from my institute allotted for organic agriculture project in collaboration with NGO and a farmer. We grew organic vegetables, and we used to sell it in front of my office, extension education section. We used to sell those vegetables, and I sold, and the money used to be deposited in IVRI account. So at that time, nowadays we are talking, we are talking about, you know, we are talking about revenue generation, and we are talking about revenue generation and all these kind of organic and so many things. Imagine 1994. It is almost now 26 years back, I grew organic vegetable. And I wrote a review paper on that experience on organic agriculture and the role of extension people. That is a book chapter here, published by IFM in Germany. And that I made presentation in Denmark. When I submitted that review paper, they funded me for that. And they included it as a book chapter. So that was a beginning. And then the vegetable cultivation experience, I submitted a project at the Tufts University for an international conference. And they again funded to me. So that was the beginning. And since then, I have been following all the development in the area of organic agriculture. So now whatever happens anywhere, at least in organic livestock production, so I am there because I am continuously updating myself into that area.
Yeah.
So this is about me. So likewise, one or two, three key areas we have to have where we are expert. This would happen in case of a basic sciences, you know. They are working in some area, some particular area. Whereas in case of extension and some other field, they are writing 500 papers in all different areas. They will be writing in this and that and ICT, so many things. They will write organic, non-organic, everything is there. It is all because of khichdi type and all. They don't have any specialization, you know. But in other basic sciences, somebody is in a biochemistry or some area or in kind of a ICMR or CSR institute. If they are working in a particular parasite, lifelong they keep on working in that particular parasite. In due course of time, they become expert in that area. So then they will be consulted, you know, because of that particular expertise. But most of the extension people, we are random people. We do everything. In fact, we reduce to nothing. So we have to specialize and develop into that area. Now, if you look at my publication profile, gradually it is coming up, and in the area, several papers in. Nowadays, people are being invited based on that expertise only. They are not asking to the vice chancellor or director of my institute, please depute some person. And that, you know, sometime, most of the time, what happens, what used to happen. Now it is not happening. Now, the internet based, they are looking at who is working where. Say, for example, last year I went to Bhutan, and they had hired a consultant to identify a speaker for their conference. It was not that they did not have. They hired a consultant. Consultant browsed all kind of things everywhere, and he could find out that on organic livestock, I could be the right person to speak there. So then only now this is the procedure they are adopting, you know.
Yeah.
Now Google Analytics they do, and they quickly find out who is doing what and who should be invited. So yeah, this is so the students also they should try to look into these opportunities. You know, many students strategically they have gone to a particular college and they have paid huge money, 20 lakh, 30 lakh rupees they have paid just to get into somehow they land up in US. Once they land up there and they are able to get a degree, MS degree from there, and then onward they can build up. But some are trying to do BSc Agriculture and MSc from Maharashtra, for example, then PhD from Maharashtra. They don't want to go. Nowadays, even after getting that GRF and opportunity, what they try still they want to go back to there where it is not available. One have to move out of their state to avail that fellowship. Likewise, one should be ready to go out of these places. So it is very important.
Yes, sir. It is true. Everybody wants to work in the comfort zone.
Yeah,
they don't
that
want...
comfort zone, actually, it won't work. It won't work anymore.
Yeah, and ICAR also pressing hard that there is inbreeding and every student has to make degree from other institutes so that they can get the exposure, what that institute is, how excellence that institute is having. Then they can get more opportunities at national level and international level.
So actually, I wanted to make it full screen. एक बार हो नहीं रहा वर्मा जी कैसे होगा?
It was very nice interaction, sir.
Thank you very much for giving me this opportunity to talk to you.
Yeah, because you have given the information regarding the various exams and the opportunities available for higher education in agriculture at national level. So this is the good platform you had provided, and you had told about your own experience, how you are consulting, and how your journey was started from Pandanagar to IVRI. So what you achieved in this so many years. So it is very nice experience for our students, and definitely they will make it out from it, and they will do something, and they will move out of our university, and they will get the exposure from other national institutes and international institutes. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much.
Thank you. It was my pleasure. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Now I request Dr. Sevak Denge to propose the vote of thanks.
Thank you, ma'am. It is my great pleasure to propose vote of thanks. I would like to express my sincere thanks to Dr. Mahesh Chandra sir for accepting our invitation and delivering excellent lecture on agriculture, higher education opportunities in India. Definitely, sir, sharing your international exposure, which is very motivated to our students for exploring job opportunities in agriculture sector. Thank you very much, sir. I'm also thankful to Dr. M.C. Ahire sir, Associate Dean, Punnyaslok Ahilyadevi Holkar College of Agriculture, Halgaon, for great support and motivating behind organizing such events. I'm also thankful to all the participants who has attended this lecture. Also thankful to organizing team for taking efforts for organizing such events. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Sevak. There is one announcement. Our tomorrow's session will start at 10:30 and topic of the session is placement opportunities after completion of agriculture education. And expert is Dr. Ashok Alur, Director, Center for Excellence for Farmer Producer Organization of Government of Karnataka, Bangalore. Thank you.
Thank you,
sir.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.